Coming up next, we'll be cleaning heifers. I then take the skid loader and scoop it into the spreader behind me. Clean enough. Send them back over there. One pen done. should also add that I know those animals looked a little dirty, but they have like where the stalls are is a good like foot off the ground, and I bed that regularly. And then I just had some other manure to haul the last few days, so they didn't get cleaned out, but got them cleaned and got a couple others clean. So it's time for lunch. Okay, it is after lunch, except it's now Sunday, so the next day. I'm gonna see if my little manure storage area is, well, if it's got any, if it's solid or if it's liquid, or I'm gonna see if I can try to get at least one load of manure out of that little storage shed. So as you can see, this is pretty full. The top 6 inches is thawed maybe, but I got a problem like on my feet here. It's just a layer of solid ice. So I'm gonna come poke around with the skid loader in here and see if I can't start to get a couple scoops out of it or something. Okay, so the ice wasn't as bad as I thought, and with what's thawed enough, I know I can get at least one load out of there, so I'm going to bring the tractor and spreader down. But I'm going to do a quick equipment tour, super quick, because I don't really have any equipment. This is my Gale 4640. Then coming up here, I've got a Sheehan? I don't even know how it's pronounced. A manure spreader. I don't know anything about them. I know they don't make them anymore. And if it ever breaks, it's going to be a bitch and I have to get parts. The good thing about this one is I paid $1,500 for it. And it works good, and it holds quite a bit. So here's that. The interesting thing about the discharge back here is these open up to the back, and then it comes out both sides with like there's kind of like 4 little paddles in there that spin, and it shoots out both sides. I didn't run it out completely because I knew I was gonna be hauling some more. It does pretty good. It's made for liquid manure, and then it does all right with some bedding. If you can mix in a little bit of liquid, it unloads it a lot better. But for $1,500, it works, and it's gotten me by, or at least for the few months. I don't know how long, like 6 months that I've owned it or something. It's done the job pretty good. And then the tractor that I have on it is this Ford 6600, and I actually borrowed that from a neighbor. And some of this land, I rent the land that I have. I only own these buildings, and one of the neighbors that I sublease some of it to, because I don't need 200 acres with the amount of cows I have, and I just sublease it rather than paying somebody to plant crops and whatnot for me to try to cash crop. I figure I'd just keep it simple and sublease. So he rents some of the land from me and lets me borrow this tractor, and then I haul on his fields and whatnot. So I don't know, we kind of just work it out. It's a good neighbor. He's a good neighbor to me. So yeah, I don't know, old Ford 6600. And then my last piece of equipment would be a New Holland 499 Heibine 12-foot Hydro Swing. I paid $1,200 for that like 3 years ago, and I used it for 2 years, and then last year I custom hired to make my hay. For most of my farming career, I've had a part-time job off the farm, so letting somebody else do the field work a lot faster, for one, and they got nicer, better equipment that you know, they get it done on time whenever I need or whatever. So it might cost a little bit more, but it gets done on time and it's done faster, and the quality is better than if I tried doing it by myself. And I don't have the equipment to do it, and I never really have the help to do it. So in farming, everybody does stuff their own way, and they do whatever works for them, and that's what's worked for me. Rather than borrowing money to buy equipment, I've just figured I'll stay out of debt, and then if I save up money to buy equipment, I can buy it then. Otherwise, my cheap spreader and hay bine and skid loader, and then this little tractor that is good enough for what I need, it's gotten me by, and I've just kind of had to figure out sometimes you just gotta figure something out, rather than, well, I'm gonna buy equipment and then, you know, borrow money to plant crops and borrow money to buy equipment and everything. Sometimes some different options can work out just as well, so that's what I've done, and that's basically the extent of my equipment. Okay, I'm gonna move that down there and then try to load up a load. Okay, everything's in place. I'm not gonna record loading it up because the cold is draining. Shit, this is pretty soft. I'm sinking in on my feet. But anyway, the cold is draining the battery in this, so I'm gonna set it in the shop and get it out of the cold for a minute. After I get a load out of here, I'll have room to run the barn cleaner in the tie stall barn, so that's the plan. Okay, we got one load loaded up, made some room to run the barn cleaner, and I will see you back in the barn to run that. Alright, I'm going to end it there for today. This video will roll out to a time lapse of me milking, so I know a couple people wanted to see a little bit more of that. But if you enjoyed it, as always, leave a like and subscribe. And to those of you that have subscribed and watch my videos day in or almost every day, I appreciate you, and just want to thank you for hanging out with me. So anyway, until next time. Little Milwaukee's Beast. Thanks for 3,000 subs.